Do you want to know what are the best and worst ways to get fitness clients going into 2026? Okay, good. Because in this video, I'm going to literally sit down and break apart the entire best strategies for getting fitness clients. What are the best, which are going to be ranked in S tier, and what are the worst, which are going to be in F tier? This is going to save you a ton of time wondering where you should be spending your time, what you should be focusing on, and what are going to be the best strategy to get your fitness business flooded with leads, calls, and clients in 2026 now. So going into 2026 rather. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go dive straight into it, and we're going to basically build your coaching business and build your focus together in this tier list, right? So as you should be able to see my screen now, what I'll do is I'll basically talk you through it. So the very first strategy we have on here is DMs, or more specifically cold DMs. For people that are a bit newer, or coaches that are a bit newer in the space, I built my first ever online coaching business back in 2017 and 18. Just by using, or predominantly using, cold DMs. So just following people, the ones that didn't follow you didn't follow, sending them messages, talking about their dogs, stories, like reactions to their stories, all of this stuff. And that used to work quite well, and admittedly, when not many people were doing it back in 2017, 2018. But what happened since then is as more people caught onto it, as more trainers, more coaches started doing these cold messages and cold DMs, people became much more aware, much more tuned into the process, and they're simply not as engaged as they used to be back in the day. So with that being said, I would have to put cold DMs in C tier. I think one of the biggest things with cold DMs or following people is if you're a brand new coach and you're starting out and you have 0 clients, or you have very few clients, you've been posting some content, maybe you have 100 posts or 200 posts, it can work still okay if you're just following people just to get them to click on your profile and view it, because it's very cheap. It's no cost. It's going to take you probably 30 minutes to follow a bunch of people that are going to be your avatar, and they're going to choose if they want to follow you back. So it's very, very cheap. It's very low risk. And when you're starting out, it can be a really good tool to use. But when you're making your, after £2,000, £3,000 online, I'd much rather you look at your content, look at your paid ads, look at your boosting your reels to grow much quicker, right? So that's why I have to put cold DMs in C tier. The next one we have is polls on here. So more specifically, doing Instagram polls, question boxes, call to actions on your stories to get more leads and get more leads in your inbox, right? This is absolutely fantastic, and I actually think it's still quite underrated. So I'm torn behind whether to put it in A or S tier. I'll have to put this in S tier for now, right? We'll review the list at the end. We'll see if we need to make any changes. But the reason I'm putting Instagram call to actions and polls and story boxes and question boxes and DM me specific words is in S tier is because it's such an easy way for you to get conversations started and get leads for your inbox, for your DMs, right? So you could do more, and this is what we teach our clients to do as well. You could do some more softer question boxes, like what's your favorite food, or what time do you train, or do you agree with this belief or mindset that I have, right? You can do the softer ones. People get used to clicking, people get used to voting on these. So when you do more direct ones, when you're opening your spots out for coaching, or if you're doing more direct ones towards lead magnets or free trainings or free classes or lead magnets or recipe books or whatever, people are still more likely to vote on these. So you're going to get more leads this way around as well, which is going to be exponential from a growth perspective. But the second thing as well to keep in mind is, even if you just do more soft question boxes and polls and the sticker emojis and stuff like that, if people click on that, even if it's very soft, even if it's nothing to do with your offer, which is fitness, right? If it has nothing to do with that, it doesn't really matter as much. And here's why it doesn't matter as much: because it's just going to signal to Instagram that the people watching this are engaged with your story, and it's just gonna, next time you post your story, it's gonna put more to the front, so people are more likely to watch it again the next time, and the next time you do stories, right? So it's really good for 2 reasons. One is the obvious, you get leads, but even if you do more relaxed and basic stories, which is about food, training, nutrition, mindset, like more kind of casual chat. If people just vote on these or react on them, or put polls up, or click on the polls or the stickers, the next time you post a story, they're much more likely to see the next one and the next one, and you're just getting them into your kind of system, right? So it's a game changer. The next one we have is going viral. Going viral, I built and I sold well over 6 figures in the last 24 months, well over 6 figures, just from using viral content and just monetizing that for an old offer, right? So like it works exponentially well. The biggest thing I would say with that is I'd put that in A tier. The biggest thing I would say with going viral is just making sure you're going viral with the right people you want to work with, and making sure your content is hyper specific so you can actually go viral, but you can go viral with the right people you want to work with. That'd be a huge one there. In terms of why it's an 80 and why I'd recommend it is because, again, there's no cost involved in going viral. It's just you sitting down, like you're sitting down somewhere quiet for 2 hours and just focusing and just looking at what are the trends in the space, what are the stuff that are already going viral, and how can I make this specific for my audience. The biggest reason a lot of coaches and trainers struggle to go viral with the people they want to work with is because they're just creating content that they want to create. They're not really focused on solving problems, and they're also not focused on looking at the trends and looking at how they can recreate them. So that's why I'd put that in A tier. It does take a little bit of work, but it's worth it, you know. The next one we have is Facebook ads. I'm putting Facebook ads as of right now in A tier. I might move some of these stuff around, right? But I'm putting in Facebook ads in A tier. I wouldn't necessarily say like Facebook ads where you go on Meta and you create lead magnets and VSLs and funnels and all of that stuff is necessary if you're making £3,000 or £5,000 online. But just looking at or dabbling with the idea of boosting some reels that are performing well organically and putting them in front of more of the right people, it's going to be a game changer, because you can get cost per follower. So our clients, again, you know, followers coming in for, you know, 20p, 50p, £1 per follower, per qualified follower. And that's crazy, because if you sell a coaching program, which is what our clients do, which is £1,000, which is £1,500, right, or £997, you know, you can afford to spend up to £500 to get one client coming in on a program like that. So it's truly a fantastic tool to use, and fantastic tool to get your profile blowing up with the right people you want to work with. So it's a game changer. The next one we have, and I'm gonna share a disclaimer, I couldn't find a good picture for this, so I'm going to explain it and why it's a puzzle. But the next one here is problem solving focused content. So content that solves specific problems, like where would I put that? I'm putting that in S tier. The reason I'm putting content like problem solving content in S tier is because I think it's massively underutilized. There's a massive epidemic right now of coaches posting perceived value for them that they think is good and it's going to make them look good. But if you just focus and obsess about creating content which solves hyper specific problems, you're going to get leads, you're going to get people engaging, commenting, liking. They're going to build trust with yourself and your offer, and then they're going to want to work with you down the line to fix a problem one-to-one. So it's truly a really, really good tool to use. The next one we have is referrals. Again, referrals, I have to put that in S tier because it's so easy to sell people on referrals. Like our clients, and for our program as well, we get so many clients coming in for the program, for our social media program, and for our coaching from a referral perspective, because clients come in, they get amazing results, they think the program is amazing, and we get referrals. Like, they're already sold on a program, and this is the same for any referral, right? A lot of the time they're already sold on a program. They know how good results you can get them. They know roughly what your pricing is because their friends probably told them already. So you're just there. It's almost a formality to have the call or have the conversation before they sign up. It's really, really good. The only downside of referrals, if you're newer in the space, is you can't necessarily, like if you're a new coach, you can't really necessarily rely on referrals 24/7 because you don't know, when they'll come. 1 month you might get 5 or 6, the next month you might get 0, and it's not because you're a bad coach, it's just because no one asks your friends about referrals, as an example, right? So no one asks your friends or their friends or your clients about who to work with as a fitness coach. So that's the only downside. It's not as predictable as some of the other systems on here, but it's a really simple, really easy way once people are referred to sell them into your normal program. So yeah, I'd have to put them in S tier. Just be a really good coach, over deliver on the expectations and the promises. It'll make it a lot easier as well. Lead magnets is the next one. Lead magnets I'm putting in B tier. The reason I'm putting lead magnets in B tier is because I think a lot of the time they're done kind of wrong. Like, people and coaches and fitness coaches are selling lead magnets as... They're selling lead magnets a little bit weirdly. So they're like, or offering lead magnets a little bit weirdly. They're almost trying to sell them, which is not what we want to do, right? They're almost going into lead magnets and they're like, I've put together this amazing recipe pack. And they're doing these lead magnets that no one physically actually wants. Like, no one in the audience wants a lead magnet about a recipe pack, when right now they can go on TikTok, and if they just scroll 10 videos, they'll probably see a recipe, like an air fryer recipe. Like, these recipes are going viral, so they don't really perform as well. So the lead magnets can work, but the biggest thing I'd be mindful of when it comes to creating lead magnets is obviously just make sure they're specific towards things and problems and goals that your audience has. It'll make it a lot easier for you to move people in towards them, right? The next one we have on here is school groups and school communities. We're gonna fill out this tier list, right, which is exciting to me. It's like my OCD is clicking, everything's gonna go somewhere. So I'm putting school groups in F tier. The reason I'm putting school groups in F tier is for a couple of reasons. One of the first biggest is I think they're a bit overrated. And what I mean by that is, for coaches that have a large amount of audience, like a big pool of people on their page, like 100k, 200k, 300k followers, if you have a large volume of people there engaging, it can make sense to put people into a Facebook group or school group to warm people up in towards your fitness offer. However, one of the biggest problems with having a school group a lot of the time is people don't have enough leads, right? So if you get 20 people on a school group, there's not going to be that much engagement, there's not going to be that much cohesion in there, and it's going to even take longer to warm people up, because you're getting people from your Instagram profile, your DMs, or your stories to a Facebook group or school group, and then they go there and they're like, what's happening? Where am I going next? Like, I'm quite confused here. And now you're having to almost restart a conversation with them to get them into a call or sign them into your coaching program. Whereas if you haven't got as many leads and traffic, it'd be much easier to get people from your Instagram into a call booking towards selling them your high ticket fitness offer, right? A much easier process. So that's the reason I'm not a big fan of school groups or Facebook groups. However, if you have a lot of followers and you have a lot of people inquiring, it can automate and streamline the process a fair bit, right? So take it with a pinch of salt. The next one we have is networking. I wasn't sure what this is. Networking, I would put in C tier. So it's a tough one for networking. Like, it depends on your personality and where you're at. However, 9 times out of 10, I feel like networking is just a bit of a distraction and a bit of a way to procrastinate productively. And I'm going to give you a story, right? We had a client come through the program probably around 18 months ago through our agency. He is a really phenomenal kind of networker and a really, really strong people person. Like, that's his strengths. His weaknesses are a bit more on the, like, arguably, or not necessarily his weaknesses, but one thing he's not as good at is social media. So, like, portraying the same personality that he has, and knowing people's name, like simple things in terms of like one-to-one personality is really, really strong. And he built and he scaled his business really aggressively just by being in networking events and just being able to build really good relationships, really good rapport, and his business literally blew up really quickly. He was in really big rooms from a networking perspective, from scaling his fitness offer, and that works really well for him because he really enjoyed the one-to-one connection, shaking someone's hand, like touching their shoulder, and like going for a hug, or like all of these little things, like remembering someone's name, going for dinners and stuff like that. And for him, that worked. However, I feel for most coaches that I work with, like at the beginning anyway, they would go to a networking event, or they would go to this event, they'll pay a load of money to go, and then they'll be like, I didn't really get much from it. I didn't get really any leads from it. I didn't really get much from it. And the reason they didn't get much from it isn't because they're bad coaches or because the room was bad, which can be an issue as well. But they just didn't get much from it because they just kind of sat in a corner. They didn't really speak to many people. They didn't really kind of network or get numbers. They didn't really go into the event being proactive of knowing who was a good client or who was a good potential client, and who might be a lead for them, So that's one of the downsides towards networking, and big downsides. The other one as well, and to go into these networking events with the whole goal of getting clients, one of the other downsides is that you don't necessarily know who's going to be in the room. So you don't necessarily know if the people in the room even want fitness coaching. They may do, they may not. But, it can be a bit of a hit and miss on that side of things as well. So, if it's not your strength and you're having to pay £500-600 for hotels, for traveling, for the tickets for the event, and you're not sure if you're going to get much from it, you'd probably be better off not going. Filming content and potentially running some boosted reels towards it as well. Obviously, like the last caveat I would say is, if you're going into like a mastermind event with the goal of learning and picking up skills, is very different. But if you're just going into some kind of a local event or a mindset event with the whole goal of getting clients, just do keep that in mind, right? The next one we have in here is in-person, like personal training sessions with the idea to upsell people into online coaching. I would put this in B tier. Like, I've done this and it works. The biggest thing to keep in mind, the biggest issue with doing that kind of process, like coaching people on the gym floor, I want to get most of the people on the gym floor in towards online coaching. The only kind of bottleneck with that to keep in mind again is, and the reason I'm putting this in B tier is it can work, but it's also a much slower process to eventually upsell people into it. Like in the picture as well, if you get someone that's 50 is okay, but if you get someone 70 plus or 60 plus, like certain people just want the one-to-one sessions because of an accountability and motivation perspective. So if you try and upsell everyone, it's probably going to be a slow process. Also, if your whole business model and your whole idea is, okay, I'm a gym floor personal trainer, I want to build an online business 6 months from now, like, this is my worldview, this is my opinion, you'd be better off just posting content, having conversations, and just building know, like, and trust that way down in terms of nutrition, training, mindset. If you go into the gym floor, it can take 2-3 years sometimes to build that confidence, build that motivation, that mindset. And even then, you're not guaranteed that you're going to transition like enough people to have sustainable income. The other problem is as well is if you build out your entire online coaching business from your in-person sessions, when you leave the gym floor and you want to travel, it's really hard to still have the leads coming in for that. So that's why I'd put that there. Email lists as well is the last one on the list. Email lists I would put into C tier. The reason I put an email list into a C tier, I do think is a bit of a distraction at the beginning, because a lot of the time, you don't know what good emails are, you don't know what good copy is. And if you have 50 people on an email list when you're starting out, for example, you'd probably be better off just having conversation with the 50 people one-to-one over WhatsApp or over Instagram, or just trying to give them just giving them a quick call, just doing these things which is going to build know, like, and trust, and they're going to tell you their problems, they're going to tell you what they have as goals or struggles. It'll be much easier for you to have conversations with these people that way around to move them into your coaching program. That's my list. Let me just give you a quick review, guys, and just see if I change anything. A couple things I'm swaying towards changing on here as well. If I had to change anything, I would say potentially I think it's a good list. Like, I think it's a good list. I think maybe we can put. I think I wouldn't really change anything around it. Maybe we can put going viral. We'll keep going. Maybe we can put going viral in B tier. It's really important. Lead magnets gonna be like the only thing I'd maybe change is the going viral one. I think probably this is fine. This looks good. Maybe even just put email list a little bit lower down as well, just because a lot of the time, if you're starting out, it's a bit of a distraction. Going viral, again, the reason I just put that down a little bit is I just think, as of right now, these two go. I'm torn. I do think it's better than lead magnets for sure, and we'll keep it here, man. The reason I'd keep it like this is because if you post really good content that's viral worthy and it has potential to pop off and get a lot of views, comments, likes, it's easy that you can then boost that video to get even more engagement and even more people coming into it. The reason I'm tempted to put it a bit lower is because a lot of people butcher going viral and they just do it completely the wrong way. They either never go viral or they go viral with people that are never going to buy. And that's a big thing that, if you learn how to do this correctly, you can really build a coaching business with very low money, with very little investment as well. So that's why I think this is a really good list. And I wouldn't really change anything to it. If you want to grow and build your coaching business, you might want to screenshot this list, or you might just want to look at this and be like, okay, how can I focus and obsess over these things first to build, grow, scale? And then as you do that and you get more people coming in, you can look at lead magnets, you can look at networking events, you can look at email lists, community groups as you grow and as the time comes for you to have these things, right? So that's a big thing I'd look at here. I hope you take value from this video. It's very comprehensive. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts. So if you do find it helpful and you do think about revisiting it, YouTube has this thing where you might lose a video you like. So an easy way to make sure that doesn't happen is just like it. So it's there for you to revisit back on. If you are serious about growing your online coaching business, then make sure to hit subscribe so you see more videos from me helping you do that. And there'll be a link down below where you can attend my next live growth workshop completely for free. So you just need to secure the space. We're limited to around 20 coaches. So if you do want to do that, there'll be a link in the description to do that. And if you do want to work one-to-one with myself to grow your online business, then there'll also be a link down below in the description so you can do that as well. And yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.